Hi, Lake Hazel Middle School math students. Today we are going to be talking about adding fractions. Hopefully this will be a good review for you of the several different ways or options we have when we try to add fractions. We have three different ways that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about drawing a picture, we're going to talk about using a number line, and finally we'll talk about using the standard algorithm. Algorithm is just a big word for, say, working out the math with the numbers. The problem that we will use today is Jack and Jill ordered 2 medium pizzas, 1 cheese and 1 pepperoni. Jack ate 5/6 of a pizza and Jill ate 1/2 of a pizza. How much did they eat together? We will use this same problem for all three, our picture, our number line, and our algorithm. So in our problem, it's asking how much did they eat together. So we are going to take the 5/6 of the pizza that Jack ate and add that to the 1/2 of the pizza that Jill ate. Now, when we are drawing pictures for fractions, you can use blocks, you can use circles, you can use any sort of shape that you can divide evenly. The shape that is used most often does happen to be circles, which applies really well to our problem here since we are talking about pizzas. So I'm going to draw 2 pizzas here, one for Jack and one for Jill. Since Jack ate 5/6 of his pizza, I'm going to break the pizza up into 6 pizzas. And since Jill ate 1/2, I'm going to break that pizza up into a half. Now let me change colors real quick. Okay, so if Jack ate 5/6, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 6 pieces of pizza, and Jill ate 1/2. The shaded regions represent what each person ate. So how do I put these together? One way is to take and say, well, Jill ate this half over here, and I know that 1/2 of 6 is 3. And so here are 3 pieces that Jack ate. So I have 3 pieces that Jack ate plus the half that Jill ate. That's going to give me 1 whole pizza. Now I just have to figure out what's left over that Jack ate. Since we divided this into 6, I'm going to put 6 as my denominator. And we have 2 pieces that were not included in that half that Jack ate, so 2 becomes my numerator. And that gives us 1 and 2/6 as our answer for how much they ate together. However, we don't want to leave our answer like this right now, because you'll notice that the 2 and the 6 are both divisible by 2. And we want to simplify or reduce, the words are interchangeable, our fractions so that it is in the lowest possible terms or the simplest possible terms. So I'm going to divide both of those numbers by 2. My whole number 1 stays the same. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So in total, Jack and Jill ate 1 1/3 of the pizza. Now I want to look at a second way to solve this same picture problem. So I have the 5 of the 6 pieces that Jack ate, and I have the 1/2 of the pizza that Jill ate, still shaded in because that hasn't changed for us. Sometimes when you're working with fractions, it's not always easy to see the halves like we just looked at. Sometimes we want to figure out, well, how can I fill in this empty space? So I need to take something away from the half that I have over on the other side in order to get that to be a whole pizza. So in this case, what we can do is we can actually take this second pizza and we can divide it up into 6 pieces also. Now, since Jill ate this whole half, that means she ate 3 of the pieces, and we can just take one of those pieces and fill it in right over here where Jack had that empty space, which leaves us with these 2 pieces of pizza right here that Jill still has eaten. So once again, you can see that we have 1 whole pizza and that we have 2 of the 6 left over. And just a reminder, we are going to simplify our fraction, and so we are going to take the time to divide each, the numerator and the denominator, by the biggest possible number we can get to go into it, which in this case is 2. A key that is always nice to remember, that anytime you have even numbers or 2 even numbers, you can always reduce because they can always be divided by 2. So we have 1, and then 2 divided by 2 is 1, 6 divided by 2 is thirds, and the total that they ate together was 1 1/3 of the 2 pizzas.
Using that same problem of 5, 6 plus 1/2, we can use a number line to solve. First, I'm going to start with drawing out my number line. And also notice that 5/6 is close to 1 whole. So I know that I'm going to have my number line start at 0. I know that I'll be close to 1 with 5/6, and that I'll also be adding 1/2. So that'll put me over 1 whole unit. So I'm going to make my number line go from 0 to 2. Now from here I've got to decide where how I'm going to break up my number line. Well, I'll start with the first fraction of 5/6 and know that I want each of my units broken into 6 pieces. So from 0 to 1, I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. And then from 1 to 2, I will also break that into 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces to create those whole units. I'm going to go ahead and change my color so I can represent that first 5/6 on my number line. And like I said, 5/6 is close to 1, and I'll just go ahead and count my pieces until I get to 5. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5/6, well, hey, it's really close to 1. Now I have 5/6 represented on my number line, and I need to add the 1/2. I'm going to go ahead and change colors so we can see where 1/2 is represented on the number line. Since each unit is broken into 6 pieces, I know that half of 6 will be 3. So I'll count 3 pieces, 1, 2, 3, and that would give me the half of my unit. So those 3 pieces here, I want to go ahead and add to where I left off at the 5/6. So I'll start at 5, 6 and add 1, 2, 3, which represents adding 5, 6 plus the 1/2. I'm going to change colors one more time so we can see what our solution looks like. Well, I know I ended right here at this point when I added 5, 6 to 1/2. I'm going to go ahead and count those pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. That will be my numerator. And because each whole unit is broken into 6 pieces, 6 will stay as my denominator. 8/6 is an improper fraction. I'm going to go ahead and change that to a mixed number. And I will say 8 divided by 6 would equal 1. There'd be 2 left over out of the 6. So 8/6 equals 1 and 2/6. Now if we jump back to our number line using a new color, we'll make sure that that makes sense, which it does. We have one whole unit right here, and then there's 2 more pieces to get me back to the 1 and 2/6, which can still be further reduced, or also known as simplified, down to 1 and 1/3 as our final answer, since both 2 and 6 can be divided by 2.
Once you feel more comfortable with fractions, you don't necessarily always want to use a picture or a number line to solve. That's when we start to use the algorithm. Algorithm is just a fancy word saying use the standard way that we solve the problem using just the numbers. And the reason why I'm throwing that word out there is it might come up on the SBAC as we start looking towards that. Now, a common mistake that students often make is they want to add the fractions straight across. And so they're adding both the numerator and the denominator. What would happen if we do that is we'd have 5 plus 1 is going to give us 6. 6 plus 2 is going to give us 8 for the denominator. We need to ask ourselves the question, does this make sense? So in the last section on number lines, when we were creating our number line, one of the first things that we did was we thought about the numbers we had. The number 5, 6 is close to 1. Now 6/8 we know is going to be less than 1. So when we do something like this and we look at our answer, we always want to make sure that it makes sense. If 5, 6 is close to 1 and 6/8 is less than 1, when we go to add that other half on, because we all know that half is a pretty big chunk, we know that the 5, 6 plus the half should take us over 1. So watch out for this mistake and make sure that you use estimation to check your answer before you put it for your final.
Okay, so we are going to do the exact same problem. So we have 5, 6 plus 1/2. We are going to look for a common denominator. What a common denominator is a number that both 2 and 6 can both divide evenly into. It helps to try and find the smallest one possible. The first thing you want to check is you want to check and see if the smallest number can become the larger number. So we're trying to see if the 2 can become the 6 by multiplying by something. In this case, the 2 can become the 6 by multiplying by 3. 6 is going to be our common denominator. So we do not need to change the 5 6 because it already has 6 as its denominator. However, we need to switch the 1/2. We need to find an equivalent fraction to 1/2 using 6 as the denominator. We found out up above, to get from 2 to 6, you multiply by 3. Whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do the exact same thing to the top. So since the bottom number is 3 times as large as the original, the top number also needs to be 3 times as large. So 1 times 3 gives us 3. So 1/2 and 3/6 are equivalent fractions. We are going to use the 3/6 over here. So now we have 5/6 plus 3/6. When you are adding fractions, you keep your denominator the same and you just add your numerators, which are the top number. So I know my denominator is going to be 6. When I add my numerators, 5 and 3, I get 8. We don't want to leave the fraction like this because this is an improper fraction like we learned, because the 8 is bigger than the 6. So 8 divided by 6. 6 goes into 8 one time, and we have 2 left over out of 6 pieces. When we reduce this down, we end up getting 1 and 1/3 because both 2 and 6 are divisible by 2.
All right, LHMS, that's what we have for adding fractions for today. Make sure that if you still have questions, you are asking your teacher about them and getting cleared up everything, so you will be a pro at adding fractions this year as we work through our curriculum. See you next time.